Namaste to all. Asmat Gurubhyo Namaha Harihi Om. We'll do one more Vedic verse. Angiraso na pitaro na vagva atarvano bragavas somyasaha tesham vayam sumato yajnayanam apibhadre saumanase syama udiratamaravutparasa unmabdhyama pitaras somyasaha vasumya irakragarutatya ऋतग्नास्तेनो वन्तु पितरो हवेषु ये चेह पितरो ये चेनेह यागंश्च विद्मा यागं वचन प्रविद्मा त्वं वेतैरिते जातवेदस्वधाभिर्यज्ञः सुकृतं जुषस्व ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः. Anyway, Pitrupaksha, so tomorrow it's Amavasya. Today this is a Rigvedic verse in honor of the ancestors and all the great rishis, Bhrigu, Angirasa, people like that. Nyastatmiya Baram Varapada Gurau Vairagya Bhagyo Dadau Vedanta Mritasaravantam Anagha Sri Srinivasad Guru Sri Shailam Nayakaustubhasya Tanayam Shreyo Nidhe Sri Nidhe Vande Sadhu Kataksaked Nilayam Sri Krishna Saddeshikam Gita Sugita Kartavya Kimanye Shastra Sangrahaihi Ya Swayam Padmanabhasya Mukhapadmat Vinisrita Malanirmochanam Pumsam Jalasnanam Dine Dine Sakrat Gitam Vasisnanam Samsara Malanashanam. So we had chapter 16, we finished yesterday. It concluded with saying the importance of following the protocol. Yashastra vidimutsrajya vartate kamakarataha nasasiddhim avapnoti nasukam naparangatim. And it said, therefore, tasmat shastram pramanante karya karyo vyavastito natva shastra vidhanoktam karma kartam miha arhasi. To do anything, understand the rules of the protocol of shastra or whatever you are following. You should follow the protocol, otherwise you will not get any success. So he concluded like that. Kind of he was talking about Devi, Asari, Svabhava. All of a sudden, the chapter ends like that, stressing the importance of following the protocol. Maybe in a way we think the Asari people don't follow the protocol, maybe. But somehow he threw in these two verses here. So chapter 17, Arjuna basically asked that. So what like that? Arjuna uvacha yeshastra vidimutsrijya yajante shraddhayanvitaha tesham nishtatuka krishna sattva rajastamaha. So basically Arjuna himself asked a loaded question. What is the fate of those people who violate the Shastra, don't follow the protocol, Shastra vidimutsrijya, but they have yajante shraddhayanvitaha, but they have a lot of shraddha. They are very sincere in doing that. So that kind of faith or that kind of adherence, what does it do? So when the person sincerely engages in worship or action, but fails to follow the prescribed rules, is that act of sattva, rajas or tamas. So Arjuna uvacha.
Arjuna uvacha.
Yeshastra vidimutsrijya.
Yeshastra vidimutsrijya.
Yajante shraddhayanvitaha.
Yajante shraddhayanvitaha.
Tesham nishtatu ka Krishna.
Tesham nishtatu ka Krishna.
Sattvamaho rajastamaha.
Sattvamaho rajastamaha.
So now, because he asked, what is it sattva, is it rajas, or is it tamas, when they are sincere but they don't follow the rules? Krishna answers, Sri Bhagavan uvacha, Trividha bhavati shraddha dehinam sa svabhavaja sattviki rajasi chaiva tamasi cheti tam shrunu. Same, the Triguna he talked about in the chapter 14. They translate into how that is expressed in action. Because Triguna he described in chapter 14 is kind of a software. then this is how they really, how that expresses itself in whatever they do. So Trivida Bhavati Shraddha says attitudes are of three kinds: Sattva, Raja, and Tamas. They are born of one's own nature. Where did they come from? Every one of us are born with them. That's the source of that, where it's an inherent nature within us. And I explain to you how they impact. So the human attitude of three kinds, Sattva, Raja, Tamas, they are born out of one's own nature. I'll explain further how they impact. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha,
श्रीभगवान् उवाच
Trividha Bhavati Shraddha,
त्रिविधा भवति श्रद्धा
Dehinam Sa Svabhavaja,
देहिनां सा स्वभावजा
Sattviki Rajasi Chaiva,
सात्विकी राजसी चैव
Tamasi Cheti Tam Shrunu.
तामसी चेति तां शृणु.
Now he explains here, Sattvanurupa Sarvasya, Shraddha Bhavati Bharata, Shraddha Mayoyam Purusho, Ye Yat Shraddha Sa Eva Saha. So every person, this is each one's temperament conforms to one's own inborn nature. Everyone has some kind of temperament that defines that person. How that person, a man is made up of course, man, woman, it just says man, are made up of his attitude. So what that person is, what is his attitude is. It basically reflects what that person is. That person's svabhava, whatever his attitude, that is that person. And everyone has born with something. So another way of looking at it is a man is made up of his beliefs. He is what his belief is. Like that, whatever that person attitude, that is what that person is. Sattvanurupa sarvasya
तत्त्वानुरूपा सर्वस्य
Shraddha Bhavati Bharata.
श्रद्धा भवति भारत.
Shraddha Mayoyam Purusho.
श्रद्धामयोऽयं पुरुषो.
Ye Yat Shraddha Sa Eva Saha.
Is it yo or ye? Yo, it
Ye
says
Yat
yo, right?
no,
Ye.
Ye Yat
Okay.
Shraddha Sa Eva Saha.
ये यः श्रद्ध स एव सः.
Yeah, Yat Shraddha Yat Shraddha. Ye Yo Yat Shraddha Sa Eva Saha. Yo is actually whatever his Shraddha, that is what that person is.
Okay.
So now he talks about Sattvika people, how they worship. Yajante Sattvika Devan Yaksha Rakshansi Rajasaha Pretan Bhutagananshyanye Yajante Tamasa Janaha. So what they worship, he talks about the Sattvika people worship gods. But those of Rajasa people worship demons and demigods. And those of Tamasa worship evil spirits and ghosts. Lot of involved in black magic, that kind of things. But as Krishna told earlier, whatever they look into, he establishes their faith in that itself. Yo yo yam nam tanum bhaktaha applies here too. But that is their inherent nature. Sattvic people tend to worship gods, whereas Rajasic people tend to worship demons and demigods, because all of them, every one of them gives some benefit, right? So, in the Tamasic worship, evil spirits and ghosts, I think they call it as Vama Shastra also, they're involved in that kind of activities. Yajante Sattvika Devan,
यजन्ते सात्विका देवान्
Yaksha Rakshamsi Rajasaha,
यक्ष रक्षांसि राजसाः
Pretan Bhutagananshyanye,
प्रेतान् भूतगणांश्चान्ये
Yajante Tamasa Janaha.
यजन्ते तामसा जनाः.
Earlier, he had told among this kind of demigods, he had called himself as Kubera. So, Rajasic people are always interested in more material gain. So, naturally, they worship that kind of divinities. Ashastra Vihitam Goram Tapyante Ye Tapojana Dambahankara Sanyukta Kama Raga Balanmitaha. But those who perform austerities motivated by damba, false pride, and the goram, they go into deep, intense activities, false pride and ego, driven by force of lust and passion. They violate the sayings of the scriptures. They don't follow. He was talking about earlier people who don't follow what they do. Here he's telling uh, the people who perform without following the uh, whatever the Shastra is saying, the scriptures, they perform, but they were very intense. They do a lot of Gora activities, right? Perform was motivated by, but the reason for that is tapyante, this kind of people, why they do that is because of false pride, damba, ahankara, that combination of damba and ahankara, they engage in intense activities. Ashastra vihitam ghoram
अशास्त्रविहितं घोरं
tapyante ye tapo janaha
तप्यन्ते ये तपोजनाः
दम्बाहंकार संयुक्ताः
दम्भाहङ्कारसंयुक्ताः
काम राग बलान्विताः. So their
कामरागबलान्विताः.
attachment and lust, that is what drives them to action. Then here is a karshayantah sharirastam bhutagramamachetasah mam chaivantah sharirastam tan midya asuri nishchayan. He says that they engaged in uh, they actually they torture the body and also the divine spirit within. They're torturing when they engage in very you see people piercing their cheek and things like that, that kind of very intense painful thing. They foolishly torture the body and also the divine spirit, they he living in them, knowing them to that kind of resolve in action is demonic activities. We have heard that when Ravana was really doing penance, he used to chop his neck off, head itself, you have to offer that. That's how he was doing very intense. But for what? To get a lot of powers and not do good things with that, but do a lot of bad things with all the power he gained. So that kind of penance while they torture themselves. So Krishna is not really favoring this kind of very standing on balancing someone on their nail or on the toe or going through a lot of Ghora tapas. Because we hear that someone was in Ghora tapas, that Krishna is definitely not supporting that. And because he says it also is punishing the jivi living within them, this kind of torture, because jivi is impacted by whatever they do to the body. That's what he's telling. In fact, it's very interesting that when they do Shraddham, they are not supposed to eat food till Aparannam, right? Around 3 or so in the afternoon. And the very first homa they do is asking for forgiveness because they tortured the body. Prayashchitam, what they call is compensation, because they did not eat anything from previous night after the dinner they had till 3 in the afternoon. So the body has gone through quite a bit of pain because of that. For that, they do the compensatory homam first. So that's kind of, in other words, telling you should not torture yourself too much. Karshayanta sharirastham
हर्षयन्तः शरीरस्थं
bhutagramamachetasah
भूतग्राममचेतसः
manchaivanta sharirastham
मां चैवान्तः शरीरस्थं
mancha eva anta sharirastha. I am living in Dunam. Tan vidyasuri nishchaya. Tan vidyasura nishchayan.
तान् विद्यासुरनिश्चयान्.
So tan vidhi asura nishchayan. Tan vidhi asura nishchayan. So now he talks about the um, even the basic thing, food, because Everyone has to eat food to live. Aharastapi sarvasya trividho bhavati priyaha yajna tapas yagnastapastadhanam tesham vedamimam shrunu. So this kind of whatever inherent attitudes, the impact of food they eat, as well as the kind of yajna they do, as well as the charity they undergo. Dana, yajna, tapas, the austerity they do, the worship they do, it impacts the ahara, consumption of what they eat, and as a yajna, tapa, as well as dana, whatever charity they do. Food that is uh, food, what the food they eat is also of three kinds. Trivido bhavati. What is ahara priya also? Whatever they like is of three kinds. So also of yajna, tapa, and dana. Let me explain. Tesham bedam imam shrunu. Bedam imam shrunu. I'm going to explain what the difference is in the food they eat and the way they worship, the way they do tapas, and where they engage in charitable activities. There is variation in everything they do, basically. Aharastvapi sarvasya
आहारस्त्वपि सर्वस्य
tribidho bhavati priyaha
त्रिविधो भवति प्रियः
yagnastapas tatha dhanam
यज्ञस्तपस्तथा दानं
tesham vedamimam shrunu.
तेषां भेदमिमं शृणु.
Now he talks about what the people with sattvic attitude like. Ayus satta balarogya sukha priti vivardhanaha rasyaha snigdaha stiraha hridyaha ahara sattvika priyaha. So these sattvika people like foods that promote longevity, ayu, and also vitality, sattva, and bala is stamina, arogya is health, and also happiness. You should feel good after eating, and contentment, and also uh, that are then talked about rasya, snigdha, stira, so it's tasty foods that are tasty, mild, nourishing, pleasant, all those things. And dear to those, and also it should look hridyaha, it should look good also. Hridyaha is looking good what they eat. Dear to those of the nature of sattva. So the foods that promote longevity, vitality, stamina, health, happiness, and contentment, and foods that are tasty, rasyaha, right, mild, snigdaha, then nourishing, stira, hridya, pleasant. Hridya is something pleasant looking, or dear to those of the nature of sattva. We have to assume that atmosphere also has to be good. He did not mention that. If the atmosphere is uh, very sickening, they won't like it. Like that. So, ayus sattva balarogya
आयुस्सत्त्वबलारोग्य
सुखप्रीति विवर्धनाः
सुखप्रीतिविवर्धनाः
रस्याः स्निग्धाः स्थिराः हृद्याः
रस्याः स्निग्धा स्थिरा हृद्याः
आहाराः सात्विकप्रियाः.
आहारा सात्विकप्रियाः.
These are all the kind of foods Satvika people like. And some people classify this kind of food as the Sattvic food. It means food that Sattvikas like. Kattam, Katvamla Lavanatyushna Tikshna Ruksha Vidahinaha Ahara Rajasasyeshta Tukka Shokamaya Pradaha. So this is food that cause pain and sorrow and sickness, and also they are very intense. And food that are excessively bitter, sour, then salty, hot, spicy, dry, and pungent are dear to those of the nature of rajas. They are dukkha shoka maya pradaha. It actually starts kind of causes you pain after eating that kind. So food that cause pain, sorrow, and sickness, food that are excessively bitter, like the kat, katwa means bitter. Then amla is It's very sour. Then lavana is salt, of course, salty. And ushna is too hot. Tikshna is pungent, harsh. And ruksha is astringent. Then vidahina is burning, kind of burning hot. And that kind of food Rajasa people like. Um, Sometimes we also eat something very hot. The whole body will be sweating. Sometimes, one time in New Mexico, I tried very hot salsa. That is with habanero pepper, and my whole body was sweating, hot, everything. So it's definitely what he is describing here. I can say that uh, people are asking me, "Are you crying?" Because if I look at, I was just like I was weeping, all the tears coming from my eyes, and looked like I was in big pain. So, Katvamla Lavanatyushna
Katvamla Lavanatyushna
Tikshna Ruksha Vidahinaha
Tikshna Ruksha Vidahinaha
Ahara Rajasasyeshtha
Ahara Rajasasyeshta
Dukkha Shoka Mayapradaha.
Dukka Shoka Mayapradaha.
Then he talks about what the Thomas Yatayamam Gatarasam Puti Paryushitancha Yet Uchishtam Apichametyam Bhojanam Tamasapriyam. So here foods that are insipid, Gatarasam, they're insipid, stale, Yatayamam, stale, rotten, Puti Paryushitam, leftover, filthy, medium is filthy, and unhygienic, are dear to those of the nature of tamas. So this is foods which are insipid, stale, rotten, leftover, filthy, and unhygienic. Yes, are dear to those of the nature of tamas. It's interesting that he doesn't describe the ingredient, the constituents, whether meat or veggie or anything like that. He's not talking any vegan or uh, lacto vegan or, or veggie or non-veggie. But the same food, the bisibele bath can be sattvic, it can be rajasic, it can be tamasic. The same thing if it is made excess of ghee, excess of heat, excess of salt, very sour, all those things. The same bisibele bath can be rajasic. And the same thing if you leave it in a refrigerator, not taken care of well, eat after a week, that will be tamasic. So the same food can be, depending on how it is, the status, it can be sattvic, rajasic, or tamasic. And it's interestingly, there is no mention of whether meat is tamasic. Generally in our common usage, we say meat is not sattvic food, but there is no mention of that here. That we should remember that. So it is not. It is the way the food is. If it is fresh, it is tasty, it is healthy, it's looking good, it is mild, it is not too intense, it's nutritious, nourishing, then it is sattvic. Very intense, it is a lot of time when we have very rajasic meal, we can feel that but it talks back to us. The pain, we feel our pain in the gut. We also, um, of course, we eat a lot of garlic, then the whole body smells like garlic. All those things, we can feel that. That's all rajasic. Of course, tamasic is also what we think is it's not like a tamasic person will go to central tiffins room or Vidyarthi Bhavan and orders for a stale masala dosa. What it means is they don't mind even food is like that. Um, it's that's what I mean. It's interesting when we eat in cafeteria food in our company. If we didn't like it, they will give it. They will replace it. They will take it back, replace it. And myself and my colleague were having the same food. I didn't like it. The taste was not good for me. It's the same food, but he said it's okay. It's little bad, but it's okay. I exchanged it. So not that I'm such a sattvic person, but I'm telling the taste difference between people. Some people don't mind. even if it is little stale. Some people are less, typically, some people are more sensitive to say. Uh, in our home, I was the tester. Uh, my mom would, because there is no refrigeration, like they make whatever sambar or something in the morning. Sometimes it goes bad, depending on how hot it was, the temperature, things like that. Um, Before dinner, my mom would ask me to smell it and see, do you think it is good? I was the I was the taster to tell that if it has gone bad or not, because some people cannot tell that uh, like that. So that's how we kind of interpret this. Not that uh, I don't think rather. Of course, they may. Some people need more salt. Some people need more heat. Those are okay differences, but I don't think any tamasic person will go and order. Uh, Give me some stale food. Did we do this verse? Yatayamam gatarasam
यातयामं गतरसं
puti paryushitan chayat
पूतिपर्युषितं च यत्
uchishtam chamedhyam
उच्छिष्टमपि चामेध्यं
bhojanam tamasa priyam.
भोजनं तामसप्रियम्.
Yeah. Even just like even the sattvic person, it can be a situation when he's extremely hungry, then he can become gunatita and may go ahead and eat something just for the uh, survival, right? Uh, but if not, it can be. We have heard of Vishwamitra or some rishi eating a dead dog. In the, somewhere in our stories, we hear that when it comes to a situation, uh, because you have to first, um, you need some food to protect the body, for the maintenance of the body. You cannot be too hard nosed. Um, some people actually, when you travel with people, it's very important uh, to travel with people who are flexible with food. Otherwise, it will be yatayamam for us. It can be very painful if they're very fussy about food, not able to move around a little bit. It can cause a lot of uh, ambiguity and makes everyone tensed in a trip. It actually spoils the trip itself. It is said that one of the reason there is a lot of dating done here before marriage. They say that someone who is able to eat wide variety of food, even if it is slightly varied, such a person is more flexible in life. There is some kind of a correlation between how fussy you are with food and how flexible your overall behavior is. So they say that that is why when you are dating, you should take them to different kinds of restaurants and try different kinds of food. Um, that kind of tells how flexible they are. It's just I don't know how true it is, but I have seen that people who have the same thing, people who have bad habits are more flexible people. People who smoke, who drink, they tend to be more easygoing, more flexible. There's some kind of a correlation between different kinds of things we enjoy and how our overall behavior will be. And of course, the atmosphere matters, company matters. If you are eating in a restaurant and everyone has ordered same food, if somebody says it's not good, it kind of spoils your mood also. You also don't like it. So it is, these are all the things about food. Then, okay. Then now it is about, talked about food, and then he talks about yagna. He said that ahara, yagna, and dana, right? Tapa and ahara, yagna, tapa, and dana. Apala kankshibir yagno vididrishto ya ijyate. Yastavyameveति manaha samadhaya sa sattvikaha. He says that they're doing yagna without any kind of selfish desire. Apala kankshiti. They're not interested. They're performing according to scripture, but without any thought of reward, without thought of any kind of benefit, and with the sense that it must be performed. They're doing as a kind of duty that we should do this yagna. Uh, that is the nature of sattva. that kind of Yastavya Mayvet, you have to do that with kind of mana, with that kind of mind. When they do that, that is sattvika. So the yajna that is carefully performed according to the scriptures, vididrishto, ijyate, without any thought of reward, apala kankshi, then with the sense that it must be done. It has to be done like that. Performed is of the nature of sattva. Apala kankshivir yagno,
अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्यज्ञो
adidrish, adidrishtoya ijyate. Vididrishto, following vididrishtoya ijyate.
विधिदृष्टो य युज्यते
यष्टव्यमेवेति मनः
यष्टव्यमेवेति मनः
समादाय स सात्विकः.
समाधाय स सात्विकः.
So that means they're doing with good focus, samadhaya. Okay, I'm not interested in this, apala kankshi. It has to be done. It's not like doing, oh, it has to be done in a indifferent way, but they're doing in a very focused way, even though they have no interest in any of the outcome of that, following the rules. At the same time, doing with diligence, samadhaya. Then this is अभिसन्धायितु फलं दम्भार्थमपि चैव यत् इज्यते भरतश्रेष्ठ तञ्यज्ञं विद्धि राजसम्. Here they are performing for the sake of reward. They have some kind of a reward they want, and also for the show, even not any reward, even for the show. What a nice yajna he did, like that. Dambhartham api. So it is abhisandhayita palam. They want palam, some kind of outcome of that, as well as to show off. So that kind of yajna, when they do Bharata, of course, Arjuna, Bharata Shrestha is Arjuna, that kind of yajna is Rajasam, kind of a show off yajna. Abhisandhayatu palam,
अभिसन्धाय तु फलं
dhambarthamapi chaivayat,
दम्भार्थमपि चैव यत्
ijyate Bharatashreshtha,
युज्यते भरतश्रेष्ठ
tanyagnam vidhi rajasam.
तयज्ञं विद्धि राजसम्.
There's a lot of people, a lot of kings used to do Ashwamedha yajna and things like that. They were all actually supposed to be for welfare of the society. So that's actually Sattvika yajna, although Ashwamedha yajna is a very elaborate yajna. You can see it may look like Damba for other people looking at it. But the overall goal there was for the welfare of the society. In fact, before doing the Putrakameshti yajna in Ramayana, Dasharatha was asked to do Ashwamedha yajna first, because that is some kind of showing that it's like a pre-Olympics kind of thing. They arrange other games to make sure that they're able to do that. Kind of they're prepared to do that. Like that, he first did Ashwamedha yajna. This Ashwamedha yajna was extremely elaborate. If you read in the Valmiki Ramayana, they had 360 upastambas, because upastamba is where the yajna pashu is tied. So each day of the year, 360 upastambas, nicely decorated with gems and everything, and different animals, pashus tied to that, including crocodile. So that is very, very elaborate. But even though it looks like a lot of damba, we can imagine that Dasharatha was a very, very noble king. So he was doing more as a question of welfare. Abhisandhayatu palam,
अभिसन्धाय तु फलं
dambharthamapi chaivayat,
दम्भार्थमपि चैव यत्
ijyate bharatashreshtha,
युज्यते भरतश्रेष्ठ
tanyagnam vidhi rajasam.
तं यज्ञं विद्धि राजसम्.
In fact, even the start of Ashwamedha Yajna, it talks about welfare of the people. Sangrahanyeshtya yajate imam janatagam sangranhaniti. Like that, it starts like that. So that is Sangrahanya is that was called first the Sangrahanya. So even in Kannada, when we say something went on very well, Sangava Nadita, we say like that. So it goes back to Sangrahanya, that for the welfare, bringing people together, Imam Janatam Sankarnhaniti, Dvadasha Rashani Rachana Bhavati, Dvadasha Masa Samvatsarameva Varunde, Maunji Bhavati, Urdhvai Munjaha, Urdhvameva Varunde, Chitra Nakshatram Bhavati, Chitram Va Etat Karma, Edashvameda Samruddhyai. So they want it to be very, very flourishing yajna, and all the grand things like that. That's why we have to be a little careful whether we call it Rajasa Yajna or Satvika Yajna. The chances are when you follow the rules like that, it is actually a Satvika Yajna. Then Vidihinam Asrishthanam Mantrahinam Adakshinam Saddha Virahitam Yagnam Tamasam Parichakshate. So these people follow no rule. This is tamasic people. So Vidihinam, there is not following any rule of the Vidi that is performed contrary to the scriptures, Vidihinam, without sincerity. Shraddha Virahitam, there is no Shraddha in that. Then without offering food, that's why I said any yajna should be lot of welfare, lot of feeding has to happen. Without offering food, with no sacred text, mantrahinam, no mantras recited, with no respect to guests. So that kind of without paying any offering, no dakshina for the person who helped to do the yajna without dakshina is of the nature of tamas. Basically, the yajna that is performed contrary to the scriptures, vidihinam, mantrahinam, without mantra, dakshina, without dakshina giving to the person, and shraddha without any sincere interest in it, that kind of yajna is tamasa. Usually, when anything is done, any kind of worship we do with a priest, we are supposed to give dakshina. That is of course, the temple always charges for the if you book any kind of a service using the temple priest, there is a temple fee. That is fine. But even the priest who does it, we always say in our temple, dakshina is your wish, whatever you give, but you have to give some dakshina. And the way our rituals are made, they make you to give some dakshina. In case they did not give, we never know. They always ask you to bring some coins, right? When you do the worship, there is some place it is just a small amount, but that means you are given dakshina. So even if you did not give at the end, that way it will not become tamasa worship. That's why. Vidihinam asrishtannam
विधिहीनमसृष्टान्नम्
mantrahinam adakshinam
मन्त्रहीनमदक्षिणम्
श्रद्धा विरहितं यज्ञं
श्रद्धाविरहितं यज्ञम्
तामसं परिचक्षते.
तामसं परिचक्षते.
There is always some food offered in the yajna. This is, I don't know whether it is done in every temple, but the Cincinnati temple from day one, we have always had lunch, no matter what. Every Sunday after worship, there is a lunch. That might have been, there are a lot of people from Punjab are involved in our temple. And as you know, in Gurudwara, langar is a compulsory thing. If you go there at a visit, they want you to eat some food. If you did not eat any food, they feel offended. So usually they all sit on the floor. So that kind of influence is on our temple too. There's always lunch. Even otherwise, any temple we go, there is, if not anything, there is prasadam. They'll always give, if not anything, at least some dry nuts and almond or raisin like that. Deva Dvijaguru Pragna Pujanam Shauchamarjavam Brahmacharya Mahimsacha Shariram Tapa Uchyate. So this is about the tapa. He's talking about austerity because he talked about food and yajna, no tapa. So it is simplicity, self-restraint, and chastity, benevolence, respect for Deva, Dvija, Guru, respect for God's Dvija, twice born, and the Gurus, and the wise. And so when you show that kind of a behavior, simplicity, self-restraint, the brahmacharyam is restraint, ahimsa is benevolent nature, chastity, that is all part of brahmacharya. So simplicity, self-restraint, purity, chastity, benevolence, and then respect for God, Deva, Dvija, Guru, Pragnam. Deva, Dvija, Guru, and the wise, Pragnas. Pragna is the wise people, Guru, teacher, Deva, and Dvija is the twice form. This is austerity of body. How you behave towards them. This is austerity. Basically, it means this leads to the refinement of the body. Deva Dvijaguru Pragna
Deva Dvijaguru Pragnya
Pujanam Shauchamarjavam
Pujanam Shauchamarjavam
Brahmacharya Mahimsa cha
Brahmacharya Mahimsa cha
Shariram Tapa Uchyate.
Shariram Tapa Uchyate.
Oh, that's right. And not Shariram. Thank you. Shariram Tapa Uchyate. Anudvegakaram Vakyam Satyam Priyahitam Chayat Swadhyayabhyasanam Chaiva Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate. That was about body. This is about speech. What is the austerity of speech? Because he's talking about tapa, austerity of body first, now austerity of speech. So speaking the words that are truthful, satyam, then it is not, it is pleasant, anudvegakaram it is, and also priyahitam, it is pleasant, beneficial and not causing distress or anxiety, as well as the study and recitation of scriptures, swadhyayam, abhyayasanam, chaiva. This is austerity of speech. This is Vangmayam. Vangmayan tapa uchyate. So, speaking words that are truthful, satyam, then pleasant, priyahitam, then which is beneficial and not causing distress, anudvegakaram. It doesn't irritate others, as well as the study and recitation of scripture, swadhyaya, abhyasanam, all this austerity of speech. We have seen that some people speak so nicely. Some people that just the way they ask, they irritate you. They say, we wish they didn't ask anything. It's just they're naturally like that. Some people are. Anudvega karam vakyam,
Anudvega Karam Vakyam
satyam priyahitam chayat,
Satyam Priyahicham Chayat
swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva,
Swadhyayabhyasanam Chaiva
vangmayan tapa uchyate.
Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate.
Krishna didn't add here. There is also another quality which was described to Rama. He says that he would speak first. He would ask somebody comes, he is not just sitting like this. He will initiate the conversation. The other person may be uncomfortable, so he initiates the conversation. This we see a very different in service here. If you go there, may I help you? They will ask. Lot of time, India might have changed now. When I was growing up in India, people sitting the authority, they don't care for you at all. You can go there and what do you want? They will say at the most. They don't they don't talk like may I help you. So that is Rama was given that one of the attributes of Sri Rama is he would start the conversation. Anudvega karam vakyam
Anudvega Karam Vakyam
satyam priyahitam chayat
Satyam Priyahitam Chayat
swadhyayabhyasanam chaiva
Swadhyayabhyasanam Chaiva
Vangmayan tapa uchyate.
Vangmayam Tapa Uchyate.
Manaprasada saumyatvam maunam atma vinigraha bhava samshuddhirityetati tapo manasam uchyate. So he talked about body, speech, and now what is the austerity of mind? This is speaking silence. uh, saumyatvam, serenity of mind, self-control, gentleness, and purity of thought, bhava samshuddhi, that is purity of thought, and he's being a pure being and purity of thought both. This is austerity of mind. The silence, serenity of mind, self-control, then gentleness and purity of thought and purity of one's being, bhava, that is the austerity of mind. Mana prasada saumyatvam,
मनः प्रसाद सौम्यत्वं
mauna vinigraha,
मौनमात्म विनिग्रहः
bhava samshuddhirityetati,
भाव संशुद्धिरित्येतत्
tapo manasa uchyate.
तपो मानसमुच्यते.
So we talked about body, mind, and speech. Now he talks about Shraddhaya Paraya Taptam, austerity. Sapastat Tribidham Naraihi, Apala Kankshibir Yuktaihi, Satvikam Parichakshate. So this is about the austerity. This is about the uh, without desire for reward, doing anything, this threefold austerity. Now he's talking about the austerity. Uh, this is diligently practiced. So all those things he was talking with utmost commitment, without desire for reward, is the nature of sattva. The austerity of body, uh, speech, and mind, if that is followed without any kind of desire for reward, that is the nature of sattva. So following the Shraddhaya Paraya Taptam,
श्रद्धया परया तप्तं
Tapastat Trividham Naraihi,
तपस्तत् त्रिविधं नरैः
Apala Kankshibir Yuktaihi,
अफलाकाङ्क्षिभिर्युक्तैः
Satvikam Parichakshate.
सात्विकं परिचक्षते.
So this is done without any selfish thing. Now this is Tatkara Mana Pujartam Tapo Dambena Chaivayat Kriyate Tadiha Proktam Rajasam Chalamadruvam. So the same austerity is talked about, the three austerity practiced merely out of pride and hypocrisy for the sake of gaining temporary rewards. So that kind of, such as praise, respect, oh, he speaks so nicely, he's such a nice person, he's such a good mind, he has all those things, only for the sake of reward, to show off, to get respect, uh, and special treatment. Oh, he's very, very nice person like that. For this, all for the looking good, doing these things to look good. That way, you'll be very popular, that kind of thing. That is called the nature of rajas. So the austerity is practiced merely out of pride and hypocrisy for the sake of gaining temporary rewards. Such as, what are the temporary rewards? There's like a praise, respect, and special treatment. These are of the nature of rajas. Satkara mana pujartham
सत्कारमानपूजार्थं
tapo dambena chaivayat
तपोधम्बेन चैव यत्
kriyate tadiha proktam
क्रियते तदिह प्रोक्तं
rajasam chalamadruvam.
राजसं चलमध्रुवम्.
So this kind of state, it is this kind of behavior is unstable, because they are doing only in presence of other just to look good. When nobody is there, they will be a different person. So it is not there. That's why the true character is dependent on how we behave when nobody else is watching. That is called the true character. Otherwise, because somebody is watching, you want to look good. That is that is kind of that is chalam, that is chalamadrum, that is wavering. It goes away when nobody is watching. मूढग्राहेणात्मनो यत् पीडया क्रियते तपः परस्योत्साधनार्थं वा तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्. So here the austerities one performs with foolish notions by torturing oneself or injury to others or of the nature of tamas. Uh, they go through a lot of pain to themselves as also cause a lot of pain to others, just to thinking as though they are doing good, as though they are following this the three uh, how they behave by excessive torturing themselves as well as giving problem to others. Um, मूढग्राहेण आत्मनो यत्
मूढग्राहेणात्मनो यत्
पीडया क्रियते तपः
पीडया क्रियते तपः
परस्योत्साधनार्थं वा
परस्योत्सादनार्थं वा
तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
So that's about the austerity. Now he talks about the dhanam. Um, दातव्यमिति यद्दानं दीयते अनुपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्. Before I go to the previous verse, I am sure sometimes when somebody invites you for something, the last minute you are leaving, you are going to their their party or whatever. They call you, can you pick up something? They also tell you something very specific. It's very hard to find in the whole store. It will be in some corner. So they put the guest through a lot of pain. Can you please pick up like that? Something like that. And it was not even necessary. They kind of make the people visiting also anxious. Like that. And maybe I should not tell this. Lot of priests, when they're invited to do something, any kind of puja or they have given a list, even month in advance, they will have given you a list, what all you need to. But at the last minute, when they come to your house, they will ask something, which they never gave in the list. Um, then they put through the person who has invited him to a lot of trouble, uh, like that. So that is some kind of a giving pain to others, and also at the time showing off. So that I am so good that without that I will not be doing this worship like that. Okay, we'll do this. दातव्यमिति यद्दानं दीयते अनुपकारिणे देशे काले च पात्रे च तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतं. This is about dana he's talking about. So you should give to one who really needs, and he should not be able to give it back. Diyate anupakarine. Anupakarine, that person cannot really pay it back to you. Giving the feeling that is one's duty to give. Datavyam ite yaddana. It has to be given. That's the duty. And give to one who cannot really give it back to you without expecting anything in return, not expecting any favor back. And offering at the deshe, kale cha patre cha, appropriately to the time and place, right time, and to the right person, worthy person. That person who cannot make any favor in return to you. That kind of dhanam is called sattvikam smritam, done by, that is called the sattvic dhanam. So given to a person who really needs it, is worthy, give it at the right time in the right place, and you give it to help that person and not expecting anything in return. दातव्यमिति यद्दानं
दातव्यमिति यद्दानं
दीयते अनुपकारिणे
दीयते अनुपकारिणे
देशे काले च पात्रे च
देशे काले च पात्रे च
तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्.
तद्दानं सात्विकं स्मृतम्.
Now we talks about the Rajasic people, what they do. यत्तु प्रत्युपकारार्थं फलम् उद्दिश्य वा पुनः दीयते परिक्लिष्ट Diyate cha pariklishtam taddanam rajasam smritam. This is looking for pratyupakarartham. These people looking for something in return, but giving it reluctantly. You have to and phalam uddishya, expecting something in return, uh, with the aim of getting something back from them, but you are doing it reluctantly. Oh, if I do this, I have to do this anyway because I need something back from that person. So that is giving something reluctantly, pariklishtam, diyate cha pariklishtam, reluctantly, or with the aim of getting something in back, either giving it in a reluctant way or giving it in a way of getting something back from them. That is the kind of nature of dhanam by the rajasic dhanam. Yattu pratyupakarartham
यत्तु प्रत्युपकारार्थं
phalam uddishya va punaha
फलमुद्दिश्य वा पुनः
diyate cha pariklishtam
दीयते च परिक्लिष्टं
tadhanam rajasamsmritam.
तद्दानं राजसंस्मृतम्.
Yes, diyate pariklishtam means this is giving it in a reluctant way, not in a humble way, in a kind of, oh, get lost with it, that kind of thing. Even if you are not expecting anything in return, you give it in such a way that, oh, get lost, like that, take it away, like that, giving it in a very bad, arrogant way. That's why it says in the Taittiriya Upanishad, Shriyadeyam, give in plenty, Hriyadeyam, give it in humility, don't show off that you are giving that much. So Shri and Hri should go together. One is wealth. Wealth should always be balanced with humility. Shri Devi and Hri Devi. That is what they talk about when you have Sri Devi and Bhu Devi as the consorts for Lord Vishnu. They say one is down to earth, Bhu Devi is down to earth, Sri Devi is wealthy, up above. Even Purusha Suktam ends like that. Shrishchate Lakshmi's Chapatnyo Aho Ratre Parsha, like that. Shri and Sri are the consorts of you, like that. So that's very important. So it not be pariklishtam, but it should be with Hri, with humility. Yattu pratyupakarartham
यत्तु प्रत्युपकारार्थं
phalamuddyashya va punaha
फलमुद्दिश्य वा पुनः
diyate cha pariklishtam
दीयते च परिक्लिष्टं
taddanam rajasam smritam.
तद्दानं राजसंस्मृतम्.
Now this is the tamasic dhanam. Adesha kale yaddanam apratebhyascha diyate asatkritam avagnatam tattama samudahritam. So this is giving with contempt and disrespect. Asakritam avagnatam. That is giving like that without paying any respect. Asatkritam avagnanam, unwisely. You are giving it unwisely to the person adesha kale, in the improper place and wrong time. Apatrebhya, one who is unworthy, not a right person, to the unworthy person. That kind of dhanam is tamasic dhanam. Giving with contempt and disrespect, offering it at the wrong place and at the wrong time to a wrong, unworthy person, wrong place, wrong time, wrong person, is of nature of tamas. Adesha kale yadhanam
अदेशकाले यद्दानम्
apatrebhyascha diyate
अपात्रेभ्यश्च धीयते
asatkrita avagnatam
असत्कृतमवज्ञातं
tattama samudahritam.
तत्तामसमुदाहृतम्.
Yeah, let us stop here. There's a small portion left here because the direction changes. We can continue it next Tuesday when I'll be back. So we'll have next class next Tuesday. There is a few more verses left in this. So if there are any questions, today there is no hurry. He's touring. So if there is any question, one or two question, we can take it.
Namaste. I had a question. So in the food category, where does alcohol or other food that is kind of fermented? So is that like a tamasic because it's kind of
It could be
old
in
or
it could be in Rajasic or Tamasic
okay?
because it's intoxicating. Alcohol is intoxicating. Um, any intoxicant, uh, and of course, a lot of ferment depends on idli is also fermented product. Um, Yogurt is fermented product. Fermentation alone, it itself does not make it any Rajasic, but depends on what is fermented. To what it is fermented, what's the end point? Um, Even in that, if it was fermented to a low level of alcohol, it's good. It's not that intoxicating. The same thing, you go further, um, it becomes more intense, more intoxicating, and also it becomes sour, right? That's what a lot of people uh, they go to this toddy to drink. It's spoiled liquor actually. It is they call it huli henda. So that becomes rajasic. But if it's a lower amount of straight amount of alcohol, you'll be surprised that when Rama, Lakshmana, and Sita crossed the Ganga River, um, Sita actually tells to Ganga, I will offer you 1,000 kalashas of alcohol, wine, if we reach back safely. So it was not, obviously, it was sattvic. It was not considered rajasic. But that can, uh, if you go very intense in that, so anything, if you go too much, it becomes rajasic. The same sattvic, make it more intense, high of everything, it becomes rajasic. It becomes stale, like it becomes vinegar by the time. Uh, that is what the lot of people, right? One time I went to India, I asked him anything good thing happening in Karnataka. My brother told, yes, 90 people had illicit liquor and died. That's a good thing, he said. So like that. So that is kind of a tamasic, same same alcohol can be tamasic like that. Well, high level of intensity and spoiled. Or if you put too much bitter thing in it, if it has high level of hops, it can become rajasic and like that.
Deena or she has one question, and also
Yeah,
I have one online question, Koti sir,
yeah,
from the previous chapter.
yeah.
Veena,
Okay.
you can go ahead.
Yeah, thank you. Sir, question on the sixth one.
Mm.
You mentioned about the verse explains about torturing the body, like people who don't, eat or fast.
Hmm.
So, in case of the Shraddam or the Shraddha example, we're not supposed to eat until the Brahmin has been fed. And also, like for Ekadashi, some people do Nirjalam or do the fasting. So, would this also then be considered in the line of torturing the body?
To some extent, that's why in the Shraddha, they first do they ask for forgiveness, right? Before even the Shraddha starts, the very first homa is asking for forgiveness because I tortured myself. The Jivatma in me. I put myself through fasting. And for Ekadashi, it is said that as important as Ekadashi, Dwadashi is also equally important. If you did not do Dwadashi, they eat very early. After Ekadashi, Dwadashi Parane is like 8 or 9 or 10 o'clock in the morning. Usually, if they're eating at noon, they eat very early. Even the kind of food they eat is slightly different,
Mm.
Dwadashi food, because the body has gone through fasting. Um, the kind of bread they eat is they use like mung bean, rasam or something like that. So it goes, they use some special things for the Dwadashi food is very different from the regular food. So because so without Dwadashi, Ekadashi is not complete. So it's because you have gone through that cycle. Yeah.
And on the same token, the verse that tells the ninth verse where the food is not supposed to be like salty or even excessively bitter. There are some foods which are considered medicinal, right? For example, like the hagalkai. supposed to be good. So would that, like those foods also would be considered that under the tamasic um, category then?
Well, if it's excessively bitter, that's what he's telling. And also the thing is, he's not telling bad about it. Is Rajasic people like that. He's telling like that. People of Rajasic tendency like that kind of food. He says. He's not telling that that's bad or anything. What is bad is told in chapter 3.
Okay.
Any food eat, even if it's the best, nice, freshly made idli, if you ate it with no attitude of gratitude, you ate only papam.
Hmm.
Right? Yagnashishtashinassanto muchyante sarpakilbishaihi bunjate te tvagam papaha epachanti atmakaranat. So this is what he's telling here is the tendencies that Rajasic people like that kind of food. He's not telling that, but even the Sattvic food, if the Sattvic person ate with a arrogance, hey, what a great I am. I'm eating such nice Sattvic food. Then he's eating only sin, according to Krishna.
Mhm.
Our Ahar Shuddhi comes in chapter 3, that verse. What we eat is basically a lot of time whatever tastes are, right? Tamasic people may not mind eating some stale food. Rajasic people like intense food. That's what they like. It's not telling that if you eat Rajasic food, you're a bad person or anything like that. But the attitude of gratitude is important because the taste is very individual. It's just identifying what the kind of people like that food like that.
Thank you, sir.
So, sir, this is a question from one of the students who has been following along on the recording. So
Okay.
she's requested one, she has a question about the chapter 16, the
Okay.
gunas. See,
Mhm.
she's saying in Shloka 14 and 15, which is the, how the departing the state of, in the state of Rajas, one takes birth among the
Uh-huh.
those attached to action. Likewise, dying in the state of tamas, one
Mhm.
is born among the deluded. Those shlokas, she's
Uh-huh.
referring to those and she's asking if one dies in tamas and
Mm.
born among deluded people, then can someone change their guna or they continue in delusion and again die in more tamas? How does
No,
this cycle end for them?
no, there is every life is an opportunity for change. You don't have to be uh, carbon copy for the next life. But if you remain like that, you will be carbon copy. So every life is an opportunity for transformation. That's why he said, right? Apichetsu duracharo bhajate mamananyabhak sadhureva samantavya. So he was a durachari. He transformed. So every life is an opportunity, whether to do the same thing or to change. So that like that. So there is a thing can happen in one split of a second. Things can change completely. That's what chapter 9 is saying. Even if Sudurachari has been, Sudurachari means he has been for a long time, has been going through the cycle of being as a person of Osiri Sava or whatever, as a bad person, all of a sudden turns around. Like the same analogy given, we have never looked at our face. Once you look in the mirror, we know how beautiful or how ugly we are. So very quickly, it doesn't take that long. So transformation, every life is an opportunity. But the only thing in our Sanatana Dharma is you have countless opportunities. You can, there is no rush. uh, we have to be ready for it. But moksha is always ready for us. We have to be ready for that.
All right, sir. Thank you.
Yeah.
I guess that's all the
Yeah.
questions for today.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. So I will see you next Tuesday. Have a nice 1 week of rest from this. So sarve bhavantu sukinaha, sarve santu niramayaha, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kaschit dukkha bhag bhave, yato dharmas tata krishna, yata krishna tato jayaha. So you all have I think our Navaratri is coming. All have starting from day after tomorrow, I think. So we'll come back and resume on next Tuesday. Thank you all. Namaste.